Hey guys, this is Goku, and on this channel we talk about poker and ideas that can improve your life. Today we're gonna jump into another GTO trainer session. This is a series where we play different types of GTO spots, and today we're playing the MP2 Open versus Big Blind Call, a tournament spot played on 50 big blind stacks, where the middle position player opens to 2.5 BBs and the big blind calls. We're playing the middle position 2 players. So we've already played 50 big blinds of this spot. We play 500 hands of every spot, and you can check out the various different spots that we play in the playlist on the channel or in the comments below. So if you're interested in that, check that out, and let's jump right into it. For the first hand, we have Jack Queen off on a Jack 6 sig board. The villain checks to us, and we're betting 2, so a third of the pot. That's the ideal action, played 80% of the time. And the villain re-raises to 8.5 BBs. We are just going to call this here. And this is the ideal action. Solver plays it 96% of the time. Now there's an ace on the turn. And I'm actually wondering here if this is a spot to check or if we should continue betting here. And actually what seems a good option is donk betting, so I'm betting a quarter of the pot. So I think I'm gonna try it, and let's see. Yeah, it is the ideal action. Played 76% of the time. The villain calls. And there's a 5 of spades on the river. And I think this is a check here from our side, because there's probably no worse hands that can call us here. I'm gonna check, let's see what the solver does. Yeah, the solver agrees. And we split the pot with another Jack Queen. Cool. Jack Queen off again on a 4-5-6 board. We're gonna bet 2. This is the ideal action. Played 87% of the time. We get called. King of spades on the turn. This might be a good card to continue betting on. So I think I'm gonna bet 7. So 2/3 of the pot. The ideal action will be checking. Played 55% of the time. But betting 2/3 is 37% of the strategy and 0 EV loss, so it's the same quality, I would say. 8-10 suited on a 7 queen ace. I think we're gonna check here. Bet 2. Yeah, that's fine. Solver prefers betting 5 on this board. There's a 10 of hearts on the turn, and we're gonna check it. This is the ideal action. And a 9 of clubs on the river means I think that we're checking it down. Yeah, I'm gonna check it down. Try and realize our equity. That's the ideal action. Play 99% of the time. Unfortunately, we lose to a pair of queens. 3-4 suited on a 6-5-9. Villain checks. I think we bet 2 here. Betting 5 is the preferred action. Betting 2 is fine, the same almost EV wise, but it's 28% of the strategy, and betting 5 is 53.4% of the strategy, but the villain falls. King 10 suited on a queen tray 5. We're gonna bet 2 now. That's the ideal action. We get called. 9 of hearts on the turn. I think our hand is too weak to continue here, so I'm gonna check. And it's not. We should continue betting, actually, 89% of the time. Maybe because of the fact that our hand is just a gut shot. And maybe because of the board getting scarier. But checking is also fine EV-wise, but just 9% of the strategy. So if we're checking here on the 9 with king 10 of diamonds, we should only be doing that 9% of the time, and 89 we should be betting 7 to the pot of 10.5. And now the villain leads for overbet, so we're just folding. Yep. 9 jack suited on an ace deuce 7 is a bet too. It is. Villain folds. Ace 5 suited on a 7-10 deuce. Is that a check? It's a bet 5 ideally, but checking is 30% of the strategy and fine EV-wise. Now the villain leads for 2 BBs, and I think we're gonna call that. Perhaps check raising, perhaps raising is also fine here. I'm gonna just call. That's the ideal action, played 62% of the time. And now we hit an ace on the river, and the villain bets 3/4 of the pot. We're just gonna call. And this is the ideal action, but unfortunately we lose to a better ace. Now we have 8-10 suited on a 9-8-6. So a very nice board for our hand. The villain checks. I think we're gonna bet 5 here. We are. That's the ideal action, played 73% of the time. We get called and we hit our straight on the turn. The villain leads for 1/3 of the pot. And I think we have to raise here. And I'm thinking probably it's better to raise all in. Or should we raise to 20.5? I think we should just raise pot. Oh, actually, calling is the ideal action. Played 57% of the time. Raising pot is the remainder of the strategy and same EV-wise. But the villain folds, unfortunately. Ace king off on a 4-8-6. I think we're checking it. Well, actually, we should be betting 2, 89% of the time. Checking is very small EV loss, but just 1% of the strategy. Now there's a 10 of spades on the turn, and I think we're checking again. Yep. And a 3 of diamonds on the river. Villain checks. We're just gonna check behind. Yep. Jack queen off on an 8 ace queen is a bet 2. Or a bet 5. We hit a second pair on the turn, but the board gets flushy. Do we raise it here on a flush board? I think we should still. Let's see. Nope. Actually, we should just call here. 96% of the time. Raising is fine EV-wise, but as we can see, the solver only does it 4% of the time here. So now the board actually gets worse for us on the river. There's an ace. And since we raised and he called us, I think we have to give up on this hand. So we're gonna check behind. Yep. And the villain actually has the same hand. Cool. Ace 4 of diamonds on a 9-5-6. The villain checks. We're gonna bet 2. Betting 5 is the ideal action, but just 17% of the strategy. Betting 2 is almost 59% of the strategy and almost 0 EV loss, so also fine. Jack queen suited on a 7 jack deuce. This is a bet 5. It's not, it's actually bet 2. Played 85% of the time. We hit a queen, so we hit 2 pair. The villain checks. And we are going to bet. I think we're gonna try an overbet here. Nope. It's not a good idea. We should just bet 2/3 of the pot 97% of the time. This is not a good spot to overbet with our 2 pair. So that's good to know. But I wonder why. 8-9 suited on a 10, Queen 5. Villain checks to us. Perhaps this is a bet 5. It is. Villain folds. Ace deuce suited on a Jack Queen tray. We're betting 2. Should we betting 5 rather? 71% of the time. 4 of diamonds on the turn. Do we continue betting here? I think we check. Yeah, we should actually continue betting. We should overbet 75% of the time on this 4 of diamonds, which is quite an interesting strategy. Checking is fine, EV-wise, very small EV loss, but just 18% of the strategy. Nevertheless, on the river, a 5 of spades falls, and the villain now leads for 7 BBs. I think we are raising it to 20.5. Yep. Nope. Actually, this time it's better to re-raise all in 95% of the time, and re-raising to 20 BBs is just 5% of the strategy, so the remainder, and minus half of a big blind of EV loss. Good to know. So in a spot like that, it's better to just shove than re-raise pot. Villain checks on a 9 Jack 6 flop with 2 hearts. We have pocket deuces. I think we're betting 5 here. We are. Villain folds. 8-9 suited on a deuce 9 Jack. We're gonna bet 2. Checks the ideal play. 31.5% of the time. Betting 2 is fine. Played 44% of the time. Now we pick up some more equity with the flush draw and straight draw, open-ender. Villain checks. I think we bet 7 here. Again, checks the ideal action. Played 81% of the time. Betting 3/4 is fine EV-wise, but just 17.5% of the strategy. And now there's a tray of diamonds on the river. And how much do we bet here? Do we shove it here actually? I think we do. Oh, we shouldn't. Looks like we should give up on this hand. 99.9% of the time. Just 0.05% of the time we should shove it here. And it's a minus half of a big blind of EV loss again, which is interesting. So we should just give up on an 8-9 of clubs on a board like this. Interesting. Let's go to the next one. Queen Jack off on a 5-7-5. I think we're betting 2 here. We are 98% of the time. Villain folds. Ace King off on a Queen 6-8. Villain checks. I think this is a bet 5. It is. Villain folds. Ace 10 off on a Queen 4 tray. I think this is again bet 5. Interestingly enough, this is a bet 2. Played 96% of the time. Betting 5 is fine EV-wise, but just 3.5% of the strategy. Now there's another 3 on the turn and the villain checks. I think we're gonna check. It's fine, but betting 11 would be better. Played 58% of the time. 7 of spades on the river. Do we bet here? Do we check? Think we're gonna check here. Yeah, we should. 95% of the time. Villain shows up with pocket eights. Now we have ace jack suited on a 5-8 queen. Is this a bet too? It is. Villain calls. We hit a jack on the turn and the villain leads for a 3/4 pot bet. We're gonna call. That's the ideal action. Now there's a 9 of diamonds on the river and villain donk bets. Do we call or do we shove? I think we call this just here. Actually, we should fold 93% of the time. Calling is fine EV-wise, but just 6% of the strategy. And we lose to Queen Jack. Interesting, we should fold here to a 1/4 pot bet. And re-raising is not even on the table. Cool. King Queen off on a King Jack 4 with 2 clubs. I think we're betting 2 here. Betting 5's the preferred play, the more frequent one. 9 of spades on the turn. We continue betting here. I'm gonna bet 3/4 pot. That's the more frequent play, but ideally we check here 18% of the time. And we hit another king on the river, and I think we just shovel in here. Yeah, we do. And the villain falls. Aces on a queen 5 king. I think we bet 5 here. We do. Villain folds. Pocket 3s on 8 ace 10 with 2 hearts. I think that's a bet 2. Or I bet 5. We get raised and I'm gonna fold the pocket 3s. Yep. King Jack off on an ace 6-9 with 2 spades, with 2 clubs. I'm gonna bet 2. That's the ideal action. We get raised and I think we fold again here. Yep. Pocket 9s on a 7-7 Jack is a bet 2. It is. We get raised, we call. 3 on the turn. The villain best 1/4 of the pot. We're calling again. Should actually be falling here 44% of the time and calling 56% of the time. Cool. Pocket 7, another 7 on the river. We are just checking behind. And unfortunately the villain has us beat. Excellent, we've played our 25 hands for the day. Let's exit the session. And wow, again, we are only on minus 11 BBs of EV loss. So another great session. This spot is turning out to be a very good one. You can see just this one hand, minus 0.82, this one minus 0.70, minus 0.50. But other than that, yeah, this spot is turning out to be really good for us. We're not making very many mistakes. And our frequencies are also on point. Just a little bit more betting or raising than usual, and a little bit less folding. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, please leave a comment below. Just write GTO or write any comments that you might have or questions. Subscribe to this channel if you're not subscribed already. Leave a thumbs up if you want. Check out the GTO trainer. Check out the playlists in the description of this video. As I said, we've played a few spots, few GTO spots before, and this is the third one that we're playing, and it's so far looking Great. So thanks for being here with me, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.